the energy in the room before I start talking and giving you guys a chance to get on. So just hold tight. Vibe with me, warm up the energy in the room before we start dialoguing. Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys have had a great Monday. First and foremost, before I start talking about Black Panther, I do want to give a shout out to Papa Legba. Today is Monday. Today is Papa Legba's day. So we have a red candle burning. I will do a separate video at another time to give you guys a lot of details on who Papa Legba is and all of that. But he is, in a few words, he is over communication and the crossroads in many spirituality systems. But anyways, of course, I was saddened by the death of King T'Challa, right? And I had to take a couple of days to kind of soak and marinate on him passing away. And so I decided that his biggest work, his biggest thing that he brought to us here in this physical realm on earth was the Black Panther movie. And so I think it's worth revisiting that movie and making sure we understood the symbolisms of the movie, because that was his greatest work. And a lot of us, you know, we just fell in love with the movie. We had our children being Black Panther for, you know, Halloween and, you know, some of the other characters, right? And we just were just so into the Black Panther movement, Wakanda forever. But did we really understand the symbolisms in the movie, what the message was that they were trying to convey? And we all know and understand that every piece of music that's made, every movie that's made, it's always a message. And you have to always ask yourself, did I get the message, right? So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to revisit the Black Panther movie, and we're going to walk through some of the most important symbolisms and messages in that movie, because now with the passing of King T'Challa, you know, we got to make sure we got the message, right? Anytime Spirit uses someone in the way that that man was used, he was being used to fulfill his earthly mission, even though he was in great pain. So we gotta know that everything he touched, it was profound, it was heaven sent, and it was a message. All right? So, first things first. At the start of the movie, the Black Panther movie, what do we see? Well, first we hear an older guy talking to his son and telling him this story, right? And then you see a black cat start creeping up onto a man who seems to be farming, right? And so as the man is telling the story, he says, you know, the heart-shaped herb came about from the ancient goddess Bass, right? And Bass brought the heart-shaped herb to a shaman, right? So we're going to break down, because it was in the very beginning of the movie, a lot of people overlooked the black cats and the term shaman, right? But we cannot overlook that. That's some of the most important messages in the movie. Now, Bass. Let's start with Bass. Bass was prominent throughout the whole movie. I mean, that was the entire Black Panther character, okay? The black cat is what King T'Challa was suited up in when he was ready to go to war. That was Bass. That was the energy of the ancient African goddess Basset, right? And so I have a small statue of her here. I will show you guys how she looks. This is how Basset looks. Her nickname is Bass. And so all through the movie, you heard them saying, oh, thank Bass. How we say, oh, thank God. Or, you know, glory to God. They will always say, oh, thank Bass. Glory to Bass. You know what I mean? And so Bass is the person in the movie who brought the shaman the heart-shaped herb. They gave, you know, all of these centuries of kings the power to be the Black Panther, right? And so Bass is an ancient Egyptian goddess. Very, very prominent in Egypt. Highly respected by the ancient pharaohs. They loved Bass. And she was very protective over women and children. And of course, most cats are very feminine, right? But when it was time to go into battle, Bass was very fierce. Okay? And so I always, you know, when the movie first came out, I would talk to people and say, man, did y'all see Bass? And people were like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, Bass, the black cat. And nobody caught that symbolism because we're trained in America. You know, I can't speak for other countries, but I was born and raised in America. But we're trained here to be afraid of the very things that give us our power, the very things that are our traditions, our ancestors created. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, other people and other cultures use our things and generate power for them and their races, right? So I immediately recognized Bass in the movie because at that time I had several, you know, interactions with Bass. So I already knew who it was. So now you guys can know who Bass is. This was the whole character of the entire movie, was this black cat. Bass, an ancient Egyptian cat. And as always, listen to me talk, but when you're done watching my video, go and do some more research and really marinate on Bass, an ancient Egyptian goddess. Now, I know a lot of you guys, you might go into spiritual stores and you will see some of the other ancient Egyptian deities, sometimes the ones that have the dog head and stuff like that. But not too often people talk about Bass. And, you know, that was the whole thing with Black Panther. King T'Challa wouldn't have had his powers had Bass not come along, you know, years and years ago to his ancestors and brought the heart-shaped herb, okay? So, two things with Bass. In America, we're taught to be afraid of black cats. We got to cut this out, okay? We got to undo all of the conditioning that has been done on us, okay? Many of you, if you saw a black cat cross your path, you would be scared and be like, oh my God, the devil, I'm cursed. Ugh, you know what I'm saying? And that's not the case. Our origins, black cats were a sign of good luck. They were a sign of protection. Hence the color of Bass. She's all black. She's not, you know, white with gray stripes and all. No, she's pitch black, okay? And that's for a reason. So when you're out here praising the movie Black Panther and you're letting your kids dress up as a Black Panther, and you know, a lot of you really religious folks, you know, sometimes down other people's spirituality systems, when really in all actuality you don't know what you're diving into when you're participating in the movie Black Panther, when you're praising it, when you're doing Wakanda Forever. I need you guys to really understand what you guys are getting into, because so many of us are so scared of the information and it's no reason to be. So now you guys know the entire movie Black Panther is about the ancient Egyptian cat Bass. All right. Another thing, there was another movie before Black Panther that tried to kind of give us little clues about how important cats were in our down our ancestry, right? And that was Catwoman, played by Halle Berry. And I'm pretty sure many of you guys saw the movie, or you saw the previews or something, you know about it, right? And in Catwoman, Halle Berry, her main persona was also of Bass. You know, her cat suit was always pitch black. It wasn't orange. It wasn't the tabby cat color. It wasn't gray and white. No, it was black. So what she was doing in that movie was taking on the energy of Bass, the ancient Egyptian cat, who was loved and adored by all of the pharaohs, okay? So that's just another thing I wanted to point out to you guys, because far too often we are missing the messages. See, nowadays, our people are in positions of somewhat power in the music industry, in the movie industry. So they're dropping little clues for us, right? Little hint, you know what I mean? But it's up to us to pick it up. And so that's part of my job. As much as I can, I'll bring you the clues, so you can't say that you didn't get it. So Bass, everybody, Ashe to Bass. Her full name is Bassett, which I think is interesting because that's Angela Bassett's last name. I mean, obviously it's pronounced a little different, but it's spelled the same. Bassett or Bassett. And Angela Bassett, you know, she always has that very, you know, feminine and ladylike, but very feisty, and I'll check you if I need to attitude. You know, she's always been very powerful. So I love Angela Bassett, and I always thought that was interesting. The Bassett and Angela Bassett, whatever. So that's the first thing. The entire Black Panther movie has everything to do with the ancient Egyptian cat Bassett. I need you guys to know that. I need you guys to respect Bass. When you guys are out here Wakanda and forever, I need you guys to act like you know your information and your history, okay? Ashe to Bass. The next thing that I want to chat about was, again, in the beginning of the movie, they said that Bass came and brought the heart-shaped herb to a shaman. Everybody overlooked the shaman, right? What is a shaman? A shaman is a term used in spirituality systems to describe a person that communicates with spirits. What is a spirit? A spirit is a person that's dead, right? Because we know that we leave the flesh, but our spirit lives on forever, right? Right. So a shaman is a person that deals with many different things, but they're most prominently known for communicating with spirits and also being healers, whatever you want to call them. The medicine man back in the day, they used to be called. Witch doctors, whatever you want to call them, IG men, you know, whatever. But we have to recognize the use and the message of them specifically throwing in a shaman. The creators of Black Panther, the actors and actresses, they could have said any word. They could have said, you know, Bass walked up to a farmer and gave him the heart-shaped herb, but they didn't say that. They said a shaman. Okay? And so it's important that, you know, in this day and era especially, we get back to our roots and our traditions, okay? And many of us are getting back to natural healing. Many of us are, you know, stepping out and not being afraid to say, yes, I communicate with spirits, whatever, right? So that's point 2. That's message number 2. They wanted us to know, hey, many of us are shaman. We are healers. We are people who communicate with the spirits. We relay the messages for our people, right? Okay? So Bass brought the heart-shaped herb specifically to a shaman. She ain't bring it to a king. She ain't bring it to a queen and all this. She brought it to a shaman, right? And enhanced him with the power, and he later went on to be a king. Okay? So again, you know, I need you guys to undo that American conditioning, that colonial conditioning to believe that, you know, anytime you see somebody with a little herb or something, or they doing, you know what I mean? They numb your horenge or whatever they doing, they evil and they demonic. No, they're not. Because you guys have been out here Wakanda and forever, and you guys have been out here letting your kids dress up in Black Panther, and all this whole time Black Panther talking about Bass and shaman, okay? So let's undo that conditioning. We have always been natural healers. We have always been people who can heal ourselves. We have always been people who can communicate in other realms, right? You having those dreams about Big Mama. Big Mama talking till you stop being scared. Yeah, you got a gift. Big Mama coming to you in your dreams. You're not crazy. That's not demonic, no. Okay? So that's another symbolic message from Black Panther. Our power in healing. And even in the later part of the Black Panther movie, they also did more natural traditional healing. They didn't go get no man with no white coat to come in and stick with no needles and get no machine. I forgot. I'm a lawyer, not a doctor. But the machine they put on your chest and they pump you with the electricity. They ain't go do all that when T'Challa fell off the cliff. No, they crumbled up the heart-shaped herb. Okay, and they called on the power of the ancestors, and he was revitalized. Right. Very similar to some of the passages in the Bible, you know, where Jesus brought back to life, you know, the little boy who was dead. You understand what I'm saying? So, one, we got to get back into our ancient African gods and goddesses, hence the use of baths throughout the entire Black Panther movie. And also, we got to get back to natural healing. You cannot be afraid of natural healing, okay? At least give it a try. So that's the second thing. Shaman was all throughout the movie. Shaman is a person that can communicate with the spirits. A shaman is a person who is a natural healer, amongst other things. Okay, so Black Panther, this big movie that sold out and made billions of dollars, you know, immediately. They started off that movie introducing you guys to Bas, an ancient Egyptian goddess, and then they started off after that introducing you to the term shaman. Right? So that's powerful. That's how they kicked off the movie. You know what I mean? They didn't ease it in. They came out the door letting you know, hey, look, this is where we're going with it. All right? And so another thing, throughout the movie, you know, obviously Bas is a feminine goddess, right? And she chose to give the heart-shaped herb power to a male. And it went on as a tradition, you know, through many kings. But remember also throughout the movie, beautiful people, the women were the predominant warriors, right? They had some tribes that consisted of the males who were warriors, but the badasses in the movie was Okoye and her tribe, right? The bald-headed women that wore the red and gold. And so that's another message that we have to make sure we got down packed from that movie, okay? We can't be out here saying Wakanda forever and, oh, King T'Challa did and my child's first Black superhero gone and all this, and we don't really understand the symbolisms, okay? He's gone, but his work, his spirit is in that movie, and that lives on forever. So we got to understand these symbolisms and these messages, all right? So they chose to have the most prominent and fierce warriors be women, okay? And so that takes us again back to our ancestry, our history. Women were, you know, warriors. A lot of the women were warriors. And in particular, I would like to draw us to Queen Candace of Ethiopia. Now, I mentioned her. Obviously, my name is Candace, right? Shout out to me. No, I'm just playing. But Okoye reminds me a lot of, you know, the traits of Queen Candace that I read about. And Queen Candace, you know, she was a queen in Ethiopia, right? And just for the record, Ethiopia was a successful civilization even before Egypt. They taught Egypt, okay? So Queen Candace basically got into it with Alexander in the schools. In the history classes, they teach us and our children Alexander the Great. But I don't refer to him as the Great. He was Alexander the Fake. Why? Queen Candace and Alexander got into it, right? And so it came time where Alexander thought he was going to take over Ethiopia and he was going to defeat Queen Candace. Well, what happened was Queen Candace said, all right, let's get it on. And so she lined up all of her warriors along the border of Ethiopia with a legion of elephants. Everyone had on their gear. And because Ethiopia was a very advanced civilization, just as you guys can imagine, you know, back in the day how advanced Egypt was, till this day, no one can replicate those pyramids. To this day, no one can replicate those pyramids. Even though we got 5G and we got all this stuff, nobody can replicate those pyramids. So we understand how advanced those civilizations were. So with that being said, she lined up her greatest warriors along the border with elephants, and they had advanced technology, right? And so Alexander, as he approached, he saw how fierce they were, you know, and it was predominantly women along the border. And you know what Alexander did? the person that they're in school teaching our children was the great, while they're leaving out Queen Candace of Ethiopia. You know what Alexander did? He retreated. He said, look, I don't want to go down in history as losing to a woman, so I retreat, I give up, I'm not going to conquer Ethiopia. True story. That's what happened. Okay? And so, as much as I can, I like to educate people on Queen Candace, because she was an awesome warrior. And I think it's worth noting that, you know, our children are going to school every day, and even us. We went to school every day, and we never got taught anything about anything positive, so to speak, about our ancestry, our ancestors, our history, but we got fed a bunch of lies. And this is all facts. These are things you can go right now and Google, you know. And so when I watched the movie Black Panther, and I've watched it hundreds of times, Okoye always stood out to me. She's the female general who protected King T'Challa. She always stood out. I just always resonated with her energy. And every time I see her, I think about Queen Candace. And so what I'm saying is that on one hand, men, we have to respect women and say, you know, yes, we do get a certain level of benefit when we have a strong woman in our lives or around us. And I always tell men, any of you guys who know me personally, you know I've told you as a man, surround yourself with strong women. Whether it's grandmama, whether it's your lady that you with, your wife, your girl, whatever, your sister, whoever. It don't have to be those people, but I'm just saying, surround yourself with more women than men. Okay? Because women, it's just our nature to protect. It's our nature to go into battle and be warriors. Whether we have to do it spiritual, you know what I mean? Now in Black Panther, it was more a lot of physical. But traditionally, women, we are highly spiritual and we are highly trained for spiritual warfare. Okay? So, now you guys learned about Bastet, the ancient Egyptian black cat, who was basically the entire theme of Black Panther. You know why she was important, who she was. You also learned what a shaman is, right? Bastet brought the heart-shaped herb in the beginning of the movie to a shaman. All right? Now we learned about Queen Candace. No, Queen Candace was not directly in Black Panther, but her energy was, okay? Alexander, they gave him, you know, the title the Great because he had conquered so many different civilizations, but he couldn't conquer Ethiopia, not while Queen Candace was on the throne, okay? He didn't even want to fight. You know how much of a punk that is? Like, you didn't talk all this mess, and then when it's time to put up the dukes, you know, and square up, you just punk out and be like, you know what, man, I don't even want to lose to a girl, so I'm just going to say peace out. You keep your lay and I'm out. He didn't even stay to fight. That's how powerful Queen Candace was. That's how, you know, much of a legacy Queen Candace had, right? All right, so now we know who Queen Candace is. And just like I talked about the men, you know, recognizing the power of the feminine energy in women, you guys also need to learn how to be submissive. Throughout the entire Black Panther movie, those women were submissive, you know. Even when Nakia would, you know, state the way she felt to King T'Challa about her secret spy missions and, you know, how she wasn't ready to be a queen because she had stuff to do, she was still very submissive. And women, we have to get back to that mindset where we understand that being submissive is a strength rather than a weakness. Now, a lot of women in history, you know, Nefertiti, Cleopatra, all of these women, you know, you think they was out there, you know, being aggressive and trying to fight the men and doing all this crazy stuff. No, they had men under their spells, under their trance, just by looking at them, okay? And so we got to get back to that femininity, and I see a lot of us doing it, but it's also a lot of us that are not. And so in that movie, it's powerful that some of those women were such strong warriors, but yet they came home and were submissive to their husbands, right? That's powerful. So we got to take another look at that. Now, at the same time, I'm not saying go be submissive to any Joe Blow. No. Because any true queen, any true empress, because I feel like I've risen above the level of a queen. I don't refer to myself as that anymore. Any true empress knows that she's valuable, right? So we're not going to be submissive to any person. So yes, hold yourself as a treasure and be submissive to that man that earns it. Okay. I'll look at the questions and the comments at the end, but right now I just want to channel my energy. And also what I want you guys to do, if you guys have a white candle at home, I need you guys to light that white candle for Chadwick. I like to call him King T'Challa. Chadwick just doesn't flow off of my tongue as easily. But we always light a white candle for people who have passed on. Okay? Always. Especially during those first 7 days, you know, during that passing period when they pass on, those first 7 days after they die and leave the flesh, you always light a white candle. You want to meditate for them. Why? Because when your spirit leaves the flesh, you're transitioning to another dimension. We know that the spirit does not die. It just leaves this flesh and it goes somewhere else, okay? So whether that person is reincarnating back into earth as a baby, or whether that person is going into the celestial body in the cosmos, whether that person is going to another, wherever they're going, we want to help them get to somewhere positive, and we want to help them get there safely, okay? So we always light a white candle and we pray for their journey, their safe journey. And sometimes spirits get stuck in between dimensions, right? And okay, sorry guys. And sometimes spirits get stuck in between those dimensions, and we don't want that, because those are angry spirits, you know what I mean? Sometimes people might die in a very, you know, traumatic and violent way, and, you know, or sometimes people who commit suicide, they get stuck in between those realms. We don't want that, you know. I have no doubt that King T'Challa is passed on and going exactly where he's destined to go, and that it's a beautiful realm, it's heavenly and all of that, because he fulfilled his mission here in this realm. Okay, but yeah, if you guys have a white candle at home, light a white candle tonight and just meditate for King T'Challa. If you don't have one in your house right now, it's no problem. Just go out and get a white candle tomorrow and light a white candle for him. Now let's move on. So again, for the people who are just joined, we're revisiting the movie Black Panther, because I need you guys to really understand the movie. Now that King T'Challa has passed on, a lot of you guys are devastated and heartbroken. But it's a lot of people who don't understand the symbolisms and the messages that were given to us in that movie. And so it's been on my spirit to jump on here and make sure I'm giving you the symbolisms that I picked up on, okay? So far we talked about Bass, we talked about shamans, we talked about the female warriors, we talked about Queen Candace, and now we're going to talk about the ancestors. Now you guys already know I was going to jump on and talk about the ancestors, right? So throughout the entire movie, like start to finish, ancestors were prevalent throughout the entire movie, okay? Each time, you know, someone was crowned king and given the powers of the heart-shaped herb, you know, and obviously, in case some of you guys forgot, the heart-shaped herb was the purple potion that the kings drank to get the power of the Black Panther, all right? And we know the Black Panther was who? Basset, an ancient Egyptian cat. All right. Each time, you know, a new king would come in. When King T'Challa first got crowned after his dad was murdered, you know, and the same thing with Killmonger. When he first got crowned, they both had to go into the ancestral realm to receive some type of messages on what they needed to do as king, right? Okay. King T'Challa, when he first went into the ancestral realm, there were tons of, you know, ancestors waiting on him. He spoke directly with his dad. Towards the end of the movie, when King T'Challa, you know, kind of was on his last leg and was injured, and Angela Bassett, Nakia, and I forgot the sister's name. That was my homegirl. I forgot her name. But when they were all trying to revive him and they was giving him the heart-shaped herb, what were they saying? They were chanting, "We call upon the powers of the ancestors." You know what I mean? All of that good stuff. And so, again, another message. Get in tune with your ancestors, okay? whether it's just speaking out loud to them or writing them a letter or going to visit the grave, you know, we cannot overlook the power of the ancestors in that movie. Okay, you can't be out here Wakandan forever and then you scared of the ancestors. It's not gonna work like that. Okay, and so King T'Challa and the entire cast of the Black Panther, what they were trying to convey to us is that there is power in calling on your ancestors. There is power in dreaming and communicating with your ancestors and receiving those messages. Okay? So get in tune and let's start doing it, right? Now we know everyone in that movie, they were very, you know, high-powered actors and actresses. And when I say high-powered, I mean actors and actresses who don't take any type of job. Say, for example, Angela Bassett. I don't know one person that I've ever met in my life who doesn't, like, respect Angela Bassett, right? But Angela Bassett constantly, you know, does movies that are highly involved with spirituality for our people, okay? Now, one of the most notable other movies that I remember her being in, well, actually it was a TV show. And I can't even think of the name of that freaking TV show. I'm trying to think of what it was. It's a series, and it was like scary shows. But anyway, she was in this TV show, and it was like a house where women would be sent who had certain powers, and it was like a witch house, right? And Angela Bassett played the role of Marie Laveau, who was a voodoo priestess in New Orleans, Louisiana, right? And she played the heck out that part. You know, the witches, the white witches used to be trying to come against her and her people, you know, and Angela Bassett, boy, she played the heck out that part. And, you know, it ended up being revealed that for a lot of those voodoo parts and stuff like that, they actually hire real voodoo priests and priestesses from Louisiana to do real rituals during the show. All right. So not to get sidetracked, but that's to say that, you know, the ancestors were prevalent in the Black Panther movie. That's obviously a message that we were supposed to receive, okay? Get in tune with the ancestors. And as soon as I can remember this TV show with Angela Bassett where she played Madame Marie Laveau, if anybody knows what I'm talking about, drop it in the comments. But yeah, you got to get in tune with the ancestors. You know, I know people out here, they go and work with, you know, these high-powered gods and goddesses, Papa Legba and all this, but they ain't established a relationship with their ancestors. That's not cool. So get in tune with your ancestors, you know. Whoever you communicated with, whoever you connected with the most that's a part of your ancestors, just light them a white candle. All right? Go to the grave and do, you know, drop out their favorite drink or food. Bring them some flowers. That's a start. Okay? But that was another thing that was a huge message in the Black Panther movie. How our relationship with our ancestors could give us so much power here in the physical realm. All right? So we talked about Bastet, the ancient Egyptian black cat, who the entire Black Panther movie was based on. We talked about what a shaman is. We know Bastet brought the heart-shaped herb to a shaman. We also talked about Queen Candace and the power of the female warriors, and how in ancient history, our ancestors, many female warriors defeated men, especially European men. Okay? We also talked about, now we just finished talking about our ancestors and the power of the ancestors. I'm not going to go too deep into the ancestors because I've already done a video on the ancestors and I talk about ancestors a lot. But yeah, again, you can't be out here Wakandan forever and you scared of the ancestors and you think the ancestors are evil or something. Nah, bruh. Black Panther might not be for you. Okay? So, another thing I want to touch on is the language in Black Panther. I mean, everybody know, you know, look, when Black Panther first came out, they had me at home studying the language. I was at home. Igubani, Igamalahu, right? My name is, you know, whatever. What's your name? So that's another huge thing in the movie. It was that collectively they were a unit, the entire Wakanda family. And a huge thing that connected them was their language, okay? They had a distinct language. And so that's another message for us melanated people, is that we don't have our own language, and we need to get our own language. Now, I learned not too long ago that, a while back, there was some major movement to make Ebonics a language, right? What's Ebonics? When we just talk to each other regular, you know what I'm saying, Joe? When we talk how we talk, hood talk, basically. A while back, it was a large push to make that actual language, just like Spanish and French and everything else, okay? But what ended up happening was it was us, the melanated people, who voted against it. And I don't think we understood the power in having our own language, okay? Not only will we be more unified with each other when we have that unique language. Imagine when you walk in somewhere and it's a bunch of people that don't look like you, and then you see that one person that look like you, and then you guys both start talking the same language, and you like, man, Joe, fam, I was just saying, man, and they understand what you're saying. Now, I can directly relate to that, because as an attorney, I remember when I first started practicing years ago, I had this criminal client, and my supervisor at the time was this really, really old white man with a long white beard, just a traditional, just white man, just never been around like hood black people at all. And I remember this particular client, when he was telling us his intake story, and I don't remember all the details, but he was telling us his intake story so we could understand, why he had got arrested, and, how we could do our job to try to help him. He was the hoodest black person ever. I mean, if you guys ever seen that Kevin Hart stand up where he's imitating hood black people, black men, and how they talk, and they be like, brr, and all this, that was my client. But I understood everything he was saying. And I was writing my notes, and then what happened next? So fam them rolled up on you, and they did what? Right. And so at the end, my supervisor, the old white man, pulled me to the side. He's like, how'd you understand what he said? It was like, because I grew up in the hood, right? Needless to say, that example is, one way in which demonstrates that having our own language unifies us. You know what I mean? And also, it would be another stream of revenue. It would be something else that they have to pay us for, okay? You know how many black people would get hired to be court interpreters, right? When you go up in there and be like, I only speak Ebonics. You know how many people would get paid as court interpreters? You know how many people, would get paid to train other people how to speak our language? Just like my white supervisor, he pulled me to the side and he was like, how'd you understand what he was saying? Yeah, people like him would, go and learn Ebonics. And who would be teaching it? Us, right? So that was another huge message in the movie Black Panther, was that they were, as a collective, they were very unified. Even when they were at odds with each other, they still had some degree of unity when it came to dealing with the outside world. You know what I mean? I forgot that guy's name, the one that was like in the mountains and the snow, whatever. He went up against Challa, and they kind of had their issues. But when it came time, when the outside world came and was trying to infiltrate Wakanda, homeboy stepped up and had T'Challa's back, right? And so what I'm saying is the language is a huge thing that unifies people. If we can speak the same language and it's just our language, right, that would do major things for melanated people. You know what I mean? So that was another message that I took away from the Black Panther movie. We need our own language. Outside of that, I'm trying to think, is anything else before I jump off of here? Let me check my, nope, that was it. Outside of that, I think that was pretty much it. As far as the things that I think other people just already didn't pick up on. Let me see if I got some questions. Yeah, Crystal, watch the movie again. To me, Alexander the Fake. Yeah, he's Alexander the Fake. And listen, guys, it's important that we know our history. Because why? It builds confidence in us. And we're out here, we're at an age now where we either already have children or we're planning to have children. And you don't want to bring children into this world and you sending them to school and they learning about Alexander the Fake and, all of these non-melanated people who are praised and glorified as heroes, and all they learned about is slavery and Martin Luther King in school. Are they gonna be confident? No. So it's important that, you know, I want you guys to go and research these names, do some extra research on the information I dropped you guys. Bass, the ancient Egyptian black cat, that was the entire theme of Black Panther. Queen Candace of Ethiopia. A lot of the other female warriors, what a shaman is. Because the thing is, we have an obligation at this point to teach our children. Okay? Not only are we going to be able to poke our chest out, hold our head high when we go out in public, because now we know who we really were. We're not just some slaves that came over here to work. We wasn't African booty scratchers, right? We ran kingdoms. We defeated y'all greatest Alexanders. We defeated all of them. You know what I mean? When I was in high school, sophomore year or something, my teacher told me to research my name and draft up a report on what I discovered about the meaning of my name. And that's when I discovered Queen Candace of Ethiopia. And so I got to hold my head up a little bit more. Okay, I am somebody. I'm named after this person. And they look like me. Then as I started researching more and more as I got older, I realized we really are the SHIT. We really are. And so with that being said, it's important. Go ahead and do your research. We have to teach our children this information. And you know, I see so many people that's scared of sage and scared of candles and scared of this and scared of this. Though that's demonic and that's evil. But y'all walking around here Wakandan forever. Did y'all not pay attention to what was in the movie? Because it was a lot of candles and herb burning and a lot of ancestors and all this stuff. So dive into that information, guys. And of course, I always come in love and light. And then lastly, let's talk about King T'Challa. I think it was profound that he went through so much pain, and in the process, he brought us so much power, right? And I always do videos and I talk to you guys about your mission and fulfilling your mission here in this physical realm. Finding out what your purpose and your mission is and then fulfilling it, right? And I just thought it was so dope that he knew what his mission was. He knew. I feel like he knew without a shadow of a doubt. Chad knew what his mission was. And I think that's why he took on so many historic roles, you know, leading up to his death. I think he knew he was going to pass. And I think he knew what his mission was. Because, you know, colon cancer, cancer in and of itself, no matter what form, is painful. And I could only imagine what he was dealing with. But to still take on high-powered roles and be in that type of pain, he knew what his mission was. He knew that the spirits, the creator, the ancestors, was calling him to do Black Panther because we as a people needed it. Because we needed the awakening. I don't think it's one black person can say, hey, after I watched Black Panther, I felt bad about myself. Or after I watched Black Panther, I didn't like being black. I'm willing to bet my entire bank account that every single melanated person that watched Black Panther was empowered during and after watching that movie. And even though you didn't understand who Bass was, you didn't understand the shaman, you really didn't understand the ancestors, you really didn't understand, you know, all of this stuff, just watching it and listening to the language and listening to what they were saying, it was unlocking things in you that they tried to beat out of our ancestors so that you wouldn't know and so that you wouldn't remember. Things about who you are and what you're capable of. It was slowly unlocking that information. Needless to say, King T'Challa, he knew what his mission was. And so for many of you guys, I want you guys to focus on what your mission is. And if you don't know what your mission is, here in this physical realm, take a spiritual bath. If you need help on what to put in the bath, of course, hit me up. You guys know I'm doing spiritual boxes. But take a spiritual bath and pray. Pray to God and ask for him to reveal what your mission is. Now you got, and sometimes your whole life might get shook up just for you to bring somebody to fulfill your mission. The whole purpose of the mission is we go through things a lot of times so we can help other people, right? So I'm not saying that your mission gonna be easy. Just like George Floyd, his mission wasn't easy. It wasn't. I still can't bring myself to watch that video, and I'm not. His mission wasn't easy, but he fulfilled his mission. And so us as a people, we got to start unlocking more and more, right? So that was another thing with, now with the death of King T'Challa. He knew what his mission was. No matter how much pain he was in, he was dead set on fulfilling his mission. Nothing was getting in his way. And he even said in one of his interviews that Black Panther was his greatest work, and I think we can all agree. So really think about what your mission is and try to fulfill it. And I'm going to read some of these things and then I'm going to jump off. And let me know if you guys have questions because I'm going to jump off in a minute. Also, guys, like this video and please share it. Many of you guys know that I started a spiritual business. I'm an attorney. Okay, I've been an attorney for years now. And recently I started a new business, a spiritual business, where I'm doing things like this, coming on here, educating you guys, talking about things that I love, things that are near and dear to me. And I make spiritual boxes for people. Now, and I need you guys to understand something that, making these spiritual boxes, it takes a lot of my energy. And I don't charge very much. What I charge for these boxes, I can make 3 times that just in an hour doing a consultation, sitting my butt in the chair and talking about my legal knowledge with someone on the phone. So I don't do spiritual boxes for everyone. If I don't like your energy or if I feel like something is off, then no, I will not make you a spiritual box. It really takes a lot of my energy. I put a lot of my energy into making these boxes. So I created, to make things easier, I created an Etsy account where you guys can see everything that I've created so far, and you guys can place your order on there without the hassle of contacting me on Facebook if you don't want to. So if you would like to check out my spiritual boxes and order one, you can do so on Etsy at Celestial Creations and the number 9. And so far I've done love boxes for people working on self-love and drawing love. I've done energy healing boxes, as well as money drawing boxes. I've also done a box for peace and serenity, as well as a box to raise a person's vibration. And this past weekend, I did my first couples box, and that was so much fun. God, there's a lot of root chakra energy going into that box, a lot of sexual energy. That particular box was a lot of fun, and it was for a married couple who had been married 23 years, and they wanted to spice up their sex life. So that box is called Honey and Spice, and it was a whole lot of fun. So I talked about fulfilling your mission earlier, and me stepping into this spiritual realm, and not stepping into it because I've been in it for a while, but me making it public to you guys is a part of my mission. And you'll kind of know what your mission is because it'll be synchronicities. People will keep coming to you about certain things. You'll probably dream about it. Some people will come to you and be the confirmation. Sometimes I'm the confirmation for a lot of people. What is being the confirmation? What does that mean? You guys are probably thinking. Well, when you're already thinking about doing something, or you have some idea, but you haven't executed it yet because you're kind of hesitant. And then randomly, someone will come up to you and say, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And that's the exact thing you had the idea about. So that's when someone is being the confirmation. So you might already be thinking, hey, I might start my own hair business. But you're hesitant. You ain't executed. And then one day a perfect stranger might come up to you and say, who did your hair? Oh my God, it's so beautiful. You did it. You need to start your own hair business. That's when someone's being the confirmation. So a lot of times that's how you can find out, what your mission is. But for me, look, a lot of my clients, as an attorney, would come to me with spiritual stuff. And a lot of my cases, I would have to wield my spiritual energy into those cases, And so now I've coined myself the IG attorney, all right? And so you guys heard it here first. I am the first IG attorney. So if anybody else tries to come out and say they're an IG attorney, you let me know, because this is now my intellectual property. I'm gonna stop being silly. But anyways, one thing I want to start implementing on all of my videos is I want to answer one spiritual or one legal question at the end of my videos. Because like I said, I am an IG attorney. An IG is just a magical woman who has magical powers, healing powers, all type of powers. You guys can Google it. I've put the definition of my story multiple times. But so I've merged my spiritual with the legal. And so I will always let you guys ask me a legal question at the end of my videos. So if you guys have a legal question that you would like me to answer, put it in the box below in the comments, and I'll answer it before I drop it off, before I exit off. So let me know. And while I'm waiting a few minutes to see if anybody has a question, I will be on Dropping Knowledge's podcast doing an interview on tips for business owners. I believe I'm going to be with them on September 10th. Thursday, September 10th, I'll be on their show. So this is just like a promo to remind you guys or make it known to you guys that you guys can look out for that, because I won't really hold anything back on that interview about legal tips for business owners. So I don't see any questions, you guys. Maybe in the future start coming with your questions ready, because you can ask me any legal question at the end of my videos, and I'm only going to pick one person, but you guys can ask me any questions. So I will talk to you guys later, and I hope you guys have a great week. Long live King T'Challa, right?